5-minute guide to the Common Powerdrill. Go. Right, so this is the power drill I use in my workshop. Most of the functions on these things are the same, so or at least similar. They have the same basic functions, the same basic switches. So I'm just going to go through them one by one. First up, we have a trigger. This obviously spins the drill or whatever you're putting in the chuck. This particular model has got a variable trigger, so it's not just on or off. If you squeeze it a little bit, it rotates slowly. If you squeeze it a little bit more, it rotates a bit quicker, etc., etc. You can kind of adjust the speed that this thing is turning by how much you push the main trigger. Then we have these two directional switches just above the trigger. These are here just because it's easy. You want to just flick it with your finger and your thumb whenever you want it. One will rotate the drill one way, one will rotate the drill the other way. I have just recently noticed there's arrows on these switches, so if you wanted the drill to come out, then it's this one, and if you want the drill to go in, then it's this one. They have the little arrows on the switches itself on this particular model. I've never noticed that before. I just tend to use it I have an instinctive response about which button I need to press at any one time. I've been using it for quite a long time. Anyway, then we have this main switch on the top. This will adjust the speed that the drill is turning at. So 1 will be low speed, 2 will be high speed. And the way that these things work with these kind of motors is that if something is spinning slower, it's doing it with more power. So by implication, 1 is low speed, high power, 2 is high speed, low power. What I tend to use this switch for is I tend to use for drilling screws. And the main reason is because, you're relying on the contact between the drill bit head and the screw itself. So if you spin this guy too fast, it will just shear off the Phillips in here, or it will ruin the head. So you want to do this slowly. And also with woodworking, you want things to go in slowly. You don't want to just ram it in there quickly. It will just splinter the wood. So slow is good. Whereas for something like drilling, this relies on a cutting motion. It's trying to cut the wood, so you want to do it fast. So we want that on 2. That's how I generally approach this switch. 1 is for screwing and 2 is for drilling. Then we have this switch up here. This has 3 main switch functions on it. So the first function is drilling over here on this right hand side. So this will just give me all the power, whatever the battery's got to give, it will deliver it to the drill bit. And then it will use this to decide which speed it turns it at. So this is kind of a power switch. If we move it over to the left-hand side, it engages a hammer drill function. This is mainly for drilling into walls. I wouldn't recommend using something like this for drilling into masonry if you're doing like any sort of heavy-duty application. Masonry walls are hard and heavy, and they're big. They're strong. You can't just use a common battery drill, power drill to drill into it. You want a proper dedicated drill. But as with all of these things, this is how I approach the drill. This is how I've kind of learnt to use it. If you want to use it differently, that's completely up to you. If you wanted to use setting 2 to drill screws, hey, have at it. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. All I can say is the way that I approach using this thing. So then we have this middle button on here. So we've got hammer drill over to the left. We've got the drilling function over to the right. This middle function will engage this kind of chuck lock, which will determine how much power is being delivered to the drill bit. So, I've never really found an application for this in my woodworking, but if you imagine we've got a piece of wood and we're trying to drill a screw into that piece of wood, 4 will only go in a little bit, 8 will go in a little bit more, 12 will go in a little bit more. It just delivers more power to the drill. I don't really have any proper applications for this, so I can't really give you any examples. For me, mostly what I do is I just rely on this switch for scrilling and drilling. That's all I do. Oh, we're running out of time. Hold on, got more to cover. Right, drill bits. So flatheads, don't use them. They're rubbish. The screw head seems to want to eject the drill bit when you put it in a power drill. They're just rubbish. Leave the box of screws on the shelf. If you want proper drill bits, get screw bits even. Get tungsten bits. You don't want crappy materials, rubbish materials. This is a rubbish one. I bought it years ago. It's gold coloured, but that's not the material. It's just stayed in the bottom of the box because it started to wear away. I didn't like it. What you actually need are 3. There are 3 different kinds you need. They're tungsten, PZ1, PZ2, PZ3, that's all you will need because they will do all screws.